So I've actually been listening to your music for a long, long time.
Uh,
Um,
Thank
man, no, for sure. Um, so yeah, like we'll just hop right into it. Welcome back to Inspired by You podcast. My name is Kristen. And today I'm joined by none other than Rockie Fresh.
you.
He needs no introduction, but in the case you forgot, um, man, he's been a recording artist for a really long time. He was originally signed to MMG, and I think he's parted ways with them since then. And you've been kind of on the music scene for a long time. You've jumped in and out, I think is my guess, is what it seems like. And then you recently put out a new single that makes it feel like you're back in it and you're, ready to go full force. So can you tell me a little bit about your new single Cost to Win, and I guess what made you put that out, and does that mean what I think it means, that you're back? And
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like with Coast to Win, we had that record for a few months now. Like I'm always recording because I know like I view it like a sport. So it's like you gotta really practice and like keep your iron sharp. So I spend a lot of time in the studio, but also just from a business standpoint, it's like, I value my art a lot and I wanna always make sure that I have the best resources at the time when it comes down to actually putting out the records. And so we just were going through a lot of like just rearranging our team and like just finding the right components to like make me feel comfortable with actually like putting out the music in the format that I wanted to do. And things just started to fall in line like at the right time. And Cost to Win was a record that I just wanted to, start the motion with. I just felt like at this time, like, there's a lot of fun music out, there's a lot of energy out, but at the same time, it's like people going through a lot of real stuff. And so I just wanted to put out a record that kind of just touched on like, a few things that I've been going through, things that people around me have been going through, and just kind of dial back and just like really just speak for my fans and like the people around me. So that's how we came about with that. But we got a bunch of other records that are about to come out too throughout the rest of the year. And yeah, like we really really ready to turn it back up.
does that mean we can anticipate maybe like a project coming at one point, or just a lot of singles and you kind of dialing back into it?
I mean, a project can happen really at any given moment. Like that's the cool part now. It's like I'm fully independent, so I can really move off of the wave of whatever my fans want. And like once I start to see that energy and like that request come, then I can push the button on that like at any given time.
No, definitely that makes sense. And I guess, have you seen kind of the reactions to Cost to Win, like through social media and all of that? So I say I feel like I've seen people share it a lot, and people are like, "Yo, this is like the old Rocky. Like this is fire." Like,
I mean, one thing is like I've been getting a lot of love on the song and social media, but another thing that I'm grateful for is like because I'm outside a lot, so I'm always in Chicago, moving around. I'm walking around my neighborhood with my family, and like one thing that I'm also appreciative with Cost to Win is like normally when I'm out and about, if people know me, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, bro, you need to drop some new music," or like "We miss you" or whatever. And now it's like people stopping me like, "Bro, that Cost to Win is like, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's one of my favorite songs right now and all of that." So it feel good to get the internet love, but I also still appreciate the real life love too, like and that in person love and like having that reaction with people in real life. So it's been working for sure, slowly but surely.
no, definitely that makes sense. And this year you celebrated, I think, kind of the 10-year anniversary of Electric Highway, which is probably like one of your biggest, I think, projects, right?
Definitely.
Um, I guess, how did that feel? Like, how does that, I guess, when you look back at kind of your catalog and you think like, man, like this album is 10 years old, like, does that make you feel, I guess, old as an artist? Like, how does it make you feel?
Um, it's kind of like that, but also I'm just grateful like to still be in it. You know what I'm saying? And to still have love and like people still appreciate it. People still post that project like songs off of it. And what's crazy about it is it's not on Apple Music or Spotify or nothing like that. So for people to still be listening to it, 10 years later, it's a blessing. As far as like me feeling old with it, it's like it's a 50-50 because like a lot of my artists that I look up to, not to like probably go too far ahead, but like when they reach their 30s or 10 years from their biggest project, it's like they at a whole nother level creatively, financially, everything like that. So for me, it's like I feel like it more so pushed me into like the sweet spot of being a veteran. You know what I'm saying? More so than like being an old thing. Like
When can we ever expect that to be on Spotify and Apple Music, or?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it's a lot of crazy samples on there. That's the main reason why it's like back then we wasn't even considering Apple Music and Spotify because that really didn't even exist. So everything we was doing was just based off of pure creativity. But at the same time, it's like with some of these bigger rock artists that we sample, like they real picky about clearing certain stuff, and so it slowed down getting that in Driving 88 to a place where we could put it on the streaming services. But I'm working on pulling together the resources to try to like make the process a lot easier.
No, definitely that makes sense. And speaking of rock, you kind of came up in like on the rock scene. That's I guess not typical for a hip hop artist usually. How did that happen?
One, I got to give credit to the high school I went to. I went to this high school called Homewood Flossmoor. It's also the same school that Young Bird went to, same school as Juice World. And so me going there, it's a very diverse school. It's a lot of different races, a lot of different walks of life. And I was coming from going to school in the inner city where it was a predominantly black environment. Really, I only went to school with like my own race, probably like from kindergarten to eighth grade. And so when I got there, instead of me being culture shocked, I just kind of embraced what was going on, and I got into rock music. I started listening to Paramore, John Mayer, Fall Out Boy, and when I wanted to start making my own music, which came a lot later down the line, I knew that like I had to do something that was gonna help me stand out, and I wanted to just draw from my true inspirations. So I started sampling just a lot of rock artists and like trying to put like a more hip hop spin on it. And then eventually, them rock artists started like reaching out and like showing love. And the first tour I ever went on was with Patrick Stump, which is the lead singer of Fall Out Boy. And then that opened up a lot of doors for me touring wise and like getting gigs that were a little bit unorthodox for rappers. And then that led to me linking with Good Charlotte. I started doing music with them. They put out 2 songs featuring me on there. And yeah, from there the rock world just started showing love for real.
Do you feel like that like really helped kind of push you along, or do you feel like it was more your own like just wave in general?
That was huge for me. I mean, especially in the tour aspect, because like at that time, like there was a few independent artists that was touring, but from Chicago, that really wasn't going on. And so for Patrick to, take a liking to me to the point where he wanted me to go on this full tour with him, and like it really validated, like the movement that I was like trying to build. And then creatively too, it's like they style of making music was so different. It like opened up my mind more creatively to not just think about rap fans, but think about just music in general and how it's so many different walks of life that I connect with. Yeah, I learned a lot from that. I don't think I'll be in the same mind frame if I didn't experience that stuff.
Nah, that's super dope too. So you grew up in Chicago. I guess how much of a role did that play in just like the way you turned out and the way you make music?
It's everything, man. I got so many different sides of Chicago that I lived on, and I took a little piece of just whatever that environment had going on and like added it to, my way of life. And so it's like it gave me street smarts, it gave me, what I'm saying, a certain level of intelligence. It gave me, like I spoke on with the diversity, learning how to deal with different walks of life, knowing how to make my message connect with different people. Even just how tough of a city it is. It's like humbly for me to build a name out here is not easy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it even built a certain level of mental toughness and just like, man, like I don't think like I said, be the same if it wasn't for like me coming up in Chicago either. Like that was everything for me.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And it's funny because when I typically think, I guess, like about Chicago artists, your style is just so different and like from the typical, and even just the stuff you talk about in your rhymes. And I always appreciated the fact that, like, knowing you were from Chicago, like, I feel like your music didn't get lost in some of the negative effects of like Chicago, like the violence and if you were gonna talk about that, you were gonna talk about it in a way of like, what can we be doing? Type of, I don't know how to explain it, but like maybe you could explain it better than me. But you
I
always
feel
kept it. No, go ahead.
no, I feel you 100%. I think one thing I can say about Chicago, and give credit to God for this, is like my experiences with a lot of the rough stuff that go on is like more so from me being not necessarily on the outside looking in, but stuff happening to people around me. I haven't actually like had a situation like where something actually went down with me, you know what I'm saying? So I've been always putting that spot of like reflecting on it, being grateful that, you know what I'm saying, I wasn't directly involved with certain stuff, being a voice of like, even with my homies, like whenever they going through stuff, in a place where they want to crash out or do something dumb, it's like humbly, I'm like the one they go to kind of talk them off the cliff. So it's like I just wanted to add that into the music because that's just the reality of what's going on. I feel like, you know, if I had more situations that pushed me deeper into the streets, and now I probably talk about it in a different way. But for me, it's just always been like, man, bro, cool, he out the way. Like, you know, so it's like I embrace that and I try to just put that same energy in the songs.
No, definitely. And I always love that because like everybody don't always want to, I guess, be super, deep dove into like, I guess, the negative aspects of things. And so like it's nice to hear the point of view where it's like on the outside looking in, like you said.
Facts.
Speaking of Chicago as well, a lot of people talk about some of the food that you can get there, like whether it's deep dish pizza or like a Chicago style hot dog. My favorite though is the tacos. Like what's the best place in your opinion to get a taco in Chicago?
Man, I'll be everywhere with the tacos. I eat tacos probably like 4 or 5 times a week. So I got a spot called Los Camales. I got a spot called El Trigon. It's a new spot out here called Tacambi that actually came from Miami, but they got real authentic tacos. They just came out here 2 weeks ago, 2, 3 weeks ago. But yeah, I'm trying like new taco spots every week. Honestly, like I love the
Yeah.
tacos out.
You like the like a nice, good, authentic taco, like a cilantro and onion on there, or like
I'm gonna be real.
coleslaw? What kind of taco you eating?
I eat my tacos plain as hell. I just do steak, cheese, and maybe like a salsa verde or sour cream on occasion. Depending on like where I go, I'm actually like into flour shells more than like the corn shells. But I still do both,
Aw.
though. I still do both though.
I'm about to say I know you be going in the order. They be like flour. You want flour?
They pissed. I'm like, man, don't judge me, you know.
No, I definitely feel you. I don't eat onion on mine, just cilantro and then like add some sour cream. But I like the
Yeah,
red sauce though. They be like, "This is spicy." I'm like,
I like the red salsa too though.
"Yeah." I'm like, they're like, "This is spicy." I'm like, "I know. That's what I want." Like,
I
nah,
mean,
but yeah. Used to be kind of a big part of MMG, and you were like the youngest member at one time, maybe still like the whole time you were there. Was there,
mhm.
I guess, any big bro moments that you had where even it doesn't have to be somebody that was in MMG, but just being kind of young and coming up in that space? Was there any big bro moments where somebody gave you like some really good advice or like just some words of the game?
Like that whole process was like a learning experience for me in the sense of like I was always like observing what was going on and like really just like, you know, learning from example. But at the same time, I give all of them guys respect because I could have been like little bro by all of them in the sense of like I was open to like playing that role, but they respected me so much as an artist and like so much as the way I move. Like they just all treated me equal. Like even including Ross, he like his whole thing was like, bro, you ahead of your years, so I ain't even got to tell you too much. You know what I'm saying? You already know what's going on. It's like I want to just empower you to act on what I already know that you're capable of doing. And so they really just not only let me do me, but even when it come down to like fashion and different things like that, like they was always being real and letting me know that like I inspired them with certain stuff. Like they always would be like, man, when I saw you wear this, you know what I'm saying? I had to go get this. Or when you chose this type of beat sample and switched up the cadence here or whatever, I was like, man, I got to take that from little bro. So it kind of made it a real even playing field in the sense of like, it bossed me up mentally because it made me realize like even though I was young, that I had like a different level of thinking and that I was meant to be, in this position with those guys.
No, that's super dope. And I mean, that's honestly probably better than somebody giving you advice is to be like, yo, you on the same, wave as us. And so I'm sure you appreciated that. Um, there's one song I think that y'all made with MMG, the Black Grammy song. That's probably like one of my favorite verses like of all time. I ain't gonna lie though, J. Cole, if J. Cole hadn't have been on there, you probably would have had like the number one verse. But I was like, dang, why he do that? Cause Rocky's verse is so hard on there. Then J. Cole come and that's honestly one of my
They,
favorite like J.
they
Cole verses too. But
went crazy. I'm gonna tell you the backstory on that. Like, what's funny is I did my verse before everybody. I didn't even know nobody was gonna be on that song. So like, me and Ross was in the house. I just did my verse, and then he added his part afterwards. And then like 2 months later, he like, bro, I got J Cole on here with you. I got Wale, me. I'm like, damn. I wish I had knew that. You know what I'm saying beforehand, but at the end of the day, that was another one of them moments where he was like, man, your verse, what you saying is like, you shouldn't change nothing. Cause I was like, damn, I want to go back to the drawing board. But he was like, bro, like what you saying is important. And it's like, I believe in this verse. So we just rocked out with it like that. But then when I heard Cole verse, I'm like, this man went crazy. Like you could tell he was trying to take me out. Like, but he went off though. I
He
love Cole.
probably he probably did that because he heard your verse and then was like, nah, I gotta snap too. So like, cause each verse, like it kind of goes down like as y'all going through the verses, like each one gets like better and better too. So like,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, that's like probably one of my favorite songs of all time. Like y'all all went crazy on that.
that's love that record.
So Tory Lanez, that's like your boy, or at least I'm not sure if it still is, but it used to be. He's in kind of some legal trouble now. Have you got a chance to like holla at him and like like chop it up with him?
So I spent time with him like literally right before the case like really started to get deep. He was in Chicago. We had a great time. You wouldn't have thought nothing was really going on. But at the same time, it's like, I'm a big supporter of women. Like I got two daughters, you know what I'm saying? So it's like those type of situations, they super unfortunate. I know my bro is a good dude. But at the same time, it's like when stuff go down like that, you gotta take what come with it. And so I just hope he in there, like, reflecting and just being able to move in a way where he can forgive whatever the situation may have been, you know what I'm saying? And like being able to just move forward. And I do plan on reaching out to him at some point, but I know right now, just with everything going on, it's just best for him and his legal team to like just really focus on what's best for him.
No, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And those are some wise words for not even just him, but anybody that might be going through something similar. Was there anybody, I guess, that kind of inspired you like along your journey or just as you were coming up?
So many people, like so many people from like, I don't know, it's like people that I see moving around Chicago just in the fashion world. It was a store called Leaders. It's a designer by the name of Joe Fresh Goods, guy by the name of Vic Lloyd. Like those was the first guys when I was coming up that just was moving in a way that was a little bit different, but also be coming from the suburbs. It was like I already had a little touch of that from when I was in high school. But then when it come down to music, of course, like all of the major Chicago legends, Kanye, Lupe, Common, Twister, like all of them, they brought so much different stuff to the table. Then the cool kids, um, man, it's so many people. Like one of my homies that I'm grateful to say is my homie now that inspired me a lot was Chris Brown, just in the sense of like him being so young, coming into the game at 16, having that instant impact that he had, and just like his artistry. And so he was a big inspiration for real. That's like one of my biggest inspirations too, still to this day. But yeah, it's a lot of people. Lil Ray, Ross, when let's go on. I'll take a little bit of all of the stuff they bring to the table and kind of create my own thing with it.
Yeah, definitely. Um, is there anybody that you didn't get to work with that you were like, dang, it would have been dope if I got to like do something with them or meet them?
Um, Man, that's a good question. It's a lot of artists that I met that I haven't worked with. Um, Young Thug being one of them, Free Thug. Like me and him, they met a couple times at Chris Brown house and just vibe for a little bit. But he in his situation right now. He one of my favorite artists. I love to do music with him. Rest in peace, Pop Smoke. He was super dope. I never got a chance to meet him, but I did really like his music. So it would have been dope to work with him. Um, Andre 3000. I'm a huge fan of him too. Hopefully that can happen. You know what I'm saying? At some point in
That'd be
life.
hard.
Yeah, I love Andre 3000. It'd be great to cook up with him. But yeah, them three right there probably.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess I seen you maybe I don't know what you call it now, thread like right on. I
Uh,
don't. It's not tweeting, but it's like I seen you thread saying something about maybe you coming to the DJ scene. What does that look like for us and for Chicago and just anybody artists like?
I gotta just learn how to do it, like in the sense of the technology and the technicals behind it. But overall, it's like me and my team, we in the club a lot, and I just feel like a lot of the music that's getting played is just not up to date enough, and it's not some of the records, like people not really breaking records no more. Like even when it come down to bigger artists, it's like I listen to everybody album in full, and there's a lot of sleeper songs that I feel like should be bigger, but it's just not the ones that's being pushed. So I kind of want to use the platform of being able to DJ to kind of put new records in the forefront that I think people are sleep on, and also uplift certain records that may be big but just not big in the club scene, just because people want to play the same old stuff. So that's kind of really the inspiration behind that. Once I figure it out though, it's gonna be fun though. To play.
Nah, that'll be interesting though. Do you think would you go on tour with like an artist, or would you just do like the club scene, or like what would be
I
your
want
limitation? Like how far would you take it?
I want to do festivals like DJ sets and like festivals. But as far as me DJing for artists, just because I've been on the other side of that, that's a tough job. Like when you DJing for somebody that's like performing vocally and you responsible for being on point with their music, it's like I don't know if I really want that responsibility. I done had to unfortunately snap on my DJs before for some little technical difficulties. So I don't want to be on the other side of that.
No, that makes sense. um, I heard you have like a Jay-Z story that's like super dope and super inspirational. Can you touch on that maybe just a little?
Yeah, for sure. So I was just out in LA with Ross. He was doing like basically getting his content together for the album that he was dropping at the time. I can't even remember what album he was working on at that time, but so he had just shot a video for this song. I think they like me with Ty Dolla Sign, so he wanted me to come be in the video for that. Then he was doing his cover shoot after that, but I guess he had hit me. I was like, man, bro, I'm about to be in the studio. Like this is somewhere you need to. This is a session you need to be at. He didn't really tell me what was going on though, so I slid to the studio and like I'm just chilling in the lobby with my homies. It was just like I think we was about to watch some football or whatever, and like my back was to the door, so somebody come in. I'm seeing everybody's faces just light up. I'm like, man, who the hell done walked in here? So everybody, so I hear the voice, and the dude like, how y'all doing? And then he go into the room, and everybody's like, bro, that's Hove, bro. And I'm like, well, Hove, where, bro? They like, bro, that just walked in behind you, bro. That's Hove. I'm like, damn, this like Jay-Z here or whatever. That's crazy. So he in the room with Ross, and I'm like, man, these two are the biggest in the game. Like, even though I know how my bro feel about me, it's like, who knows what they got going on in there. So I'm gonna post out here and mind my business. And like, you know what I'm saying? Just stay out the way, let them do their thing. And then next thing you know, they come out like, yo, they want you in here or whatever. I'm like, word. So I go in there. Only open seat available was like right next to Hove. So I sit down. Now, mind you, I had ordered some food like way before then. So the intern come in and bring the food. And Hove like, oh, so that's how you gonna do, bro? You ain't gonna let me get none of your burger? I'm like, man, you more than welcome to have whatever. You can take this whole thing. Like, nah. So then I guess he had ordered some food too. He ended up like finishing his food, balled up the paper ball, shot the paper ball all the way across the room into the garbage. I'm like, oh, this man crazy. And come to find out, we just started talking and just like, slowly just building. And then we found out that like my first child was being born or scheduled to be born the day before after his twins. So we just started talking about fatherhood. He started giving me certain advice and like just talking about like how my legacy and my last name is just extremely important for the future of my kids and all of that. And at this time, he was working on the 444 album, which we didn't even know that what that was at the time. And he was like, "Man, bro, like you inspired me to want to play you some records off my album." So then he played me the song Legacy. He played it for me, Ross, and the rest of the people that was in the room. And then he played us OJ Story. And then we just kind of vibed out from there. And it was like, man, it was one of the coolest days of my life. We got some pictures together and everything. Dope.
Nah, that's super dope, and especially because he's like, you inspired me to, be able to show you
Yeah,
this song. Like, yeah,
yeah,
that's super dope.
that was fire. I definitely will never forget that day for sure.
Speaking of kids, so I feel like since back when we first saw you kind of on the music scene, you didn't have any kids. How has that like influenced your music now?
Um, it's interesting because it's like my music is just so based off of like what's really going on that it was just like an easy transition. If you notice, like my daughter be in my videos and stuff, and like part of my cover arts and all of that. But that's just really how we move. Like I spend a lot of time with them every day, and so it's just like because we shooting real lifestyle stuff, it's like they naturally like involved in it. It's like I don't even like actually physically write my music, so I freestyle everything. Every song that I ever made or ever put out was like all off the top. And so even with that, it's like I talk about my kids and my music just because that's naturally where my brain be at. So it was like a real smooth transition, honestly.
Oh, you pulled a Lil Wayne when you said you don't you just freestyle everything off the dome. So you got do you memorize the songs after that, or do you got to get printouts like he got to get when you performing them?
Well, now it's getting a little tougher because my catalog is building, but I like due to the fact that I don't overly put out music, it's easy for me to remember the stuff that come out, if that makes sense. But um, but yeah, I don't know. Like it's pretty easy.
Okay. And it's funny that like I guess when I heard like there's more interviews now where Lil Wayne's like talking about how he doesn't like write anything, he just freestyles, and then they're like, well, how do you know? Like then he'll be like, I said that, like he won't remember any of his music, and like other
Yeah,
people will be like, how do we remember all his songs? But he literally like
nah,
like
facts,
don't remember them.
facts. But that's because he probably be in the studio making like 50, 60 songs a week that don't nobody hear that he probably listening to and he getting drawn in that place. You know what I'm saying? Versus like focusing on what come out. And we kind of do that too on our team side. It's like once the music come out, it's already owed to us. So it's like we listening to, a bunch of stuff that nobody may hear for the next 6 months to a year. And then you kind of get lost in that. Then when it's time to actually go through your records that's out, you didn't forgot about what you didn't put out and all type of stuff. So I get where you come from a little bit.
No, that makes sense. When I heard Cost to Win, I thought you were. I was like, he must have been in the studio and was like, "Yo, this the one. I'm gonna put this out right now."
That's crazy though. Cause it's like that. What we do is being honest with you. Like that song, I made probably like 5, 6 songs that day, and sometimes it'd be like on that day. As I look back on it, it's like I got a couple songs from that day that's about to come out. And it's just like some days you just be real high and you just be vibing. Like Costume took me probably like honestly 10, 15 minutes to make, and then we was on to the next. But it was just like certain people around me. We do like these little, for lack of a better term, focus groups where we send out the songs with like 5 other songs that we think about putting out to like 30 different people, and like we let them kind of pick, you know what I'm saying? And like whatever, it's we don't necessarily do it on the what's got the most votes, because I do have certain people whose opinions I respect more than the numbers. But yeah, that's kind of the process. And like Costume, it was just one of the records where everybody like, yo, this is good for right now. Like I need this right now. So we was like, man, let's push the button on it. Just went like that.
No, definitely. Dang, how do I join that focus group? Nah, just
I ain't gonna lie to you though. I swear to you, I was literally about to tell you like we got to slide you in there because like your mind frame on this is like I could tell that you really understand what's going on and you judging it for the right reason. So it's like I was gonna tell you real life like we got to tap you into the
hey,
into the inner
no, for
circle.
sure. No, for sure, for sure. I guess anything else you want to say to the podcast, to the people?
Man, I just appreciate y'all, man. Go tap into the costume, man. So I'm on music coming. What you doing is super dope. Like I'm happy to be a part of your movement. And yeah, anytime you want to chop it up after we drop something new, we around. And then like I said, Kendall got your email, so it's like we gonna start tapping you in on some of these releases and letting you hear some stuff before it come out and just getting your
Hey,
insight on everything. But yeah, that's about it. I appreciate you for real.
for sure. I appreciate you, and it's an honor. Thank you.